Hello and welcome to round 4 here at the World Magic Cup. I'm Tim Willoughby, joined here by Randy Buehler, and pretty much one of the more exciting feature matches you could possibly hope for going into Unified Standard. Two of the hot teams that were picked at the start of this tournament as being ones to watch out for to potentially win the whole show. Let's head down to the feature match area and see what they brought to the table. Welcome to round 4 of the World Magic Cup. On the left-hand side of our feature match area, that's Team USA. On the right, we have Team Japan. There we see Mike Sigrist, the US team captain. Tim Willoughby and Randy Buehler here to bring you all the details from this matchup. We see there Sigrist's opponent, Soyo Yu. Now, Frank Carsten was talking about this standard format, and he said there are a couple of big decks that everyone's likely to play, Esper Dragons, Ataka Red, and then the third deck was looking a little bit of a puzzle. How have these two teams approached it?
Well, Team USA has Frontier Bivouac in play on turn 1. This is a teamer deck.
Sweet.
Savage Knuckleblade, Bounding Krasis, Death Misraptor, Rattleclaw Mystic. Yeah, it's teamer Megamorph pretty much. And this is, I think, Paolo Vitor Damarosa, you heard them talking about the one big super team. U.S. worked with Canada, Brazil, and Italy. And Paolo came up with this. It seems like you get to play Ataka Red, you get to play Esper Dragons, and then basically you need a Windswept Heath deck. That's the fetch land that's left over. And that Windswept Heath in Sigrist's deck can go get, it can get a Cinderglade, it can get a Prairie Stream, you can play some Frontier Bivouacs, and yeah, maybe teamer is the answer to the puzzle.
An early Lightning Berserker there for Soyo Yu, so he's going to be able to get the first points in, but one has to wonder whether or not he's going to be ready for Bounding Krasis. Certainly not a card that we've seen a huge amount of play from in Standard, but it's going to be coming out very, very shortly for Mike Sigrist.
Yeah, this could be great. I think that there's sort of two things going on here, right? One is, what did Japan bring to the table? What did Team USA bring to the table? Japan, by the way, has an Ataka Red deck, has an Esper Dragons deck. Both teams brought those two decks to the table, whereas the US has a teamer deck. Japan has Rally. And specifically, they have a 3-color Rally deck. There's no blue, no Jace in the Rally deck. That's gone into the Esper Dragons, of course. So it's kind of an Abzan Rally deck.
That one, of course, in the hands of Kenji Samura, Hall of Famer. The Japanese team absolutely stacked. We can see that they have Ryoichi Tamada, finalist from the last Pro Tour, currently acting as coach in this match. We see him there sat next to Soyo Yu. This Soyo Yu's first match of the tournament actually holding cards. He was coaching during the limited portion where Japan finished 2-1.
Yeah, all 4 players have to play one of the sessions today, so you see those two trading off from the morning to the afternoon. Yeah, Mike Sigrist is sitting there. He hasn't cast a spell yet. Soyo Yu, got to be wondering, what's going on? I mean, maybe from Frontier Bivouac, he's figured out that Savage Knuckleblade could be up against him, but I can't imagine that he's anticipating this Bounding Krasis flashing into the red zone mid-combat.
Yeah, I mean, the red deck here coming from Soyo Yu, able to run plenty of fetch lands, of course, very important with the landfall mechanics, so key to the Ataka Red. They're able to fetch Cinderglade on turn 3 untapped.
Yeah, the Japanese actually put 10 fetch lands in this Ataka Red deck. They actually have 2 of the Windswept Heaths, in addition to the usual Bloodstained Mires.
Yeah, meanwhile, Evolving Wilds very much a feature in Kenji Samura's deck.
Right. Japan's like, well, there's 24 fetch lands, actually, because Evolving Wilds counts.
Yeah, I was talking to Yuya Watanabe yesterday a little bit about the preparation for their team, and they said, overall, about 80% of our preparation was for Constructed because this is a very complicated format. Once you start having to split out the cards, there's an awful lot to think about, and they didn't feel like they'd solved it, but they were happy with their decks.
Yeah, Mike actually backed up Soyo Yu at the beginning of combat. He's going to tap down the Berserker, obviously with three red sources there. So he was like, what is that? Oh, Bounding Krasis. Okay, yeah, I guess my guy's tapped. And this way, Mike isn't forced to trade his Krasis for a pumped up Berserker. He just holds off 2 Goblin tokens.
And brickwalling from turn 3, a pretty reasonable start when you're up against a reg deck.
Yeah, I got to think this matchup favors Team USA. I mean, the fact that I think one of the reasons to play Teamer is having, 3 3s and 4 4s for 3 mana should give you a pretty good matchup against the Tarka Red, which, I mean, judging by these two, it seems like most teams are going to have something resembling the Tarka Red deck.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing here is the difference between gaming and metagaming. There's been a lot of people trying to figure out literally what are the best decks that you can build just based on the cards. And then some teams, certainly USA here, and by the sounds of it, probably the whole super team of USA, Italy, Canada, and Brazil may well have metagamed it and said, right, given that we know what the best decks you can build are, what should we be building?
Temur Megamorph is their answer.
So you're getting a couple of extra goblins in play, but not really able to get much in the way of attacks going on, which is a bit of a problem for him.
You see Mike's also holding a Collected Company here.
Interesting that both of the teams have ended up with their third deck being a Collected Company deck.
Oh, that's a good point. It's a good point. It's the Tarka Red, Esper Dragons, and then a Collected Company Windswept Heath deck. Both USA and Japan landed there.
Albeit with comparatively different routes.
Oh, yeah. The Windswept Heath Collected Company, I think that's all the overlap you get between Temur Megamorph and Abzan Rally.
Now, after the first Bounding Crisis, is Soyu going to be more... and he has to be more wary than he was with the first one, I guess, but the second one is certainly not going to be something he's going to be happy to see coming along here.
Can I attack? Sure. Time for Collected Company?
I mean, between Ataka's Command and various spells he can play post-combat, this is certainly a safe enough attack. Just he's going to have to get damage in at some point. But here we see the power of Collected Company. Look at the top 6. Put 2 creatures that cost 3 or less onto the battlefield from those 6. And by the looks of things, every creature that Mike Sigrist has in his deck is one that's a perfectly reasonable one to hit on that Collected Company. Admittedly, some of them you might prefer to play as a morph initially, but creatures coming into play at instant speed certainly never.
What did he hit? I saw a Mystic. Is that it? He went 1 for 6, and the 1 is merely a Rattleclaw Mystic. That was not the way Mike Sigrist drew that turn up.
He is still going to be able to get the trade with the Lightning Berserker. But
good point.
Yeah, he certainly could have done better there. I mean, there were more copies of Krasis. There was Deathmist Raptor. There is Savage Knuckleblade in this deck. We've got, I mean, even Heir of the Wilds potentially would have been a happier creature to get into play there.
All right, so Atarka's Command is going to deal an extra 6. So Mike's taking 9. Become Immense can potentially make that not 15, right? 2, 4, 6, 9... 15. Oh, he's already taken the 3 from Atarka's Command, right? He would wind up at 3 here, if I'm doing the math right. It's not a super great place to be. Definitely would have liked a second blocker. Oh, he's going to kill the Krasis rather than deal the 6. Reasonable.
And the Krasis was pretty much owning the board until that point. So now the only creatures on the board, at least for now, belong to Soyu. Some Goblin tokens there. The one that became Immense, clearly still staying alive, and being joined by Zergo Bellstriker after combat. Just a land and a pass there from Mike Sigrist. We know that he has got a little bit of instant speed action going on. It looks like there's another copy of Collected Company in his hand, alongside that Bounding Crisis and Disdainful Stroke if he needs it, though not so many targets in this Ataka Red deck.
This deck seems to get to play at instant speed a lot. Probably helps it in the Esper Dragon style matchup. Both Collected Company and Bounding Crisis.
I suppose that one of the interesting things, once you've done enough puzzling about what decks you can build in this format, is that the matchups that you have to test aren't necessarily quite as numerous as in regular Standard.
Right. All right. Mike does not go for Bounding Crisis at the beginning of the combat. He's going to go for Collected Company again. Now what? Whiff, whiff, whiff. Savage Knuckleblade. And another Rattleclaw Mystic.
Well, the Knuckleblade was a good hit, and certainly it's going to be able to kill off whatever without having to worry about death itself. Not so much can be said for the Mystic. It is going to have to trade with something.
Yeah, I think you trade Mystic for Zergo. Wow. There's the second copy of Become Immense, and
Japan
that'll
a game
do.
up. So we will be able to bring you plenty more from this match between Japan and America. Lots more Magic going on here. But before that, these messages.
In The Art of Magic: The Gathering Zendikar, you can experience the danger and beauty of Zendikar like never before. This lavishly illustrated hardcover book features the award-winning art of Magic: The Gathering and gives you an insider's look at the secrets of Zendikar, its people, continents, and creatures. Available everywhere January 5th. Watch the best players in the world battle on Magic's biggest stage. Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch starts February 5th in Atlanta, Georgia, featuring Modern and Oath of the Gatewatch booster draft. Watch all 3 days streamed live on twitch.tv/magic.
Hello and welcome back to round 4 here at the World Magic Cup. And if the last game that we saw between the USA and Japan was a study in contrast between the two decks, this one is all about the similarities between what they've chosen to bring to the table. Both of these players, Tom Martell from the USA on the left, Yuya Watanabe on the right, playing Esper Dragons. And the differences between these lists are minuscule.
Yeah, there are 2 extra duresses in Tom Martell's list, where Yuya Watanabe has a Clash of Wills and a Silk Wrap. That's about it. I think their lands are also off by 1.
Yeah, a few more differences in the sideboard, but we're not at that stage yet. This is still game 1. We can see here an ultimate price being played by Yuya Watanabe, who does not want that Jace to hang around on the board.
Yeah, I think you can expect today, everybody's going to have a Jace Vryn's Prodigy deck. You only get to have one Jace deck, but you're going to have one. Is it Esper Dragons? Is it, there's a couple directions you can push it. Both of these teams concluded it is, in fact, exactly Esper Dragons, Silumgar Scorn, Faltung Invocation, Dragonlord Ojutai, a couple Silumgars.
And we see Silumgar Scorn there, revealing Dragonlord Ojutai in order to stop that ultimate price. But, hey, look, that play seems like a good one. Yuya Watanabe going for the exact same play, only this time countering the first Silumgar Scorn. So on the face of things, it looks like Jace might be going down here.
I'm still thinking.
We've joined this game right at a point of action as a flurry of spells being cast in order to make this board a clear one. And Duress, a nice pickup there for Yuya Watanabe. Both the information and the ability to strip key cards out of opponents' hands, very important, especially in this sort of a mirror match where actually the creatures are kind of just the finishers.
Right.
It's the spells where the action really happens. And it looks like, well, that's the reason that Tom Martell was thinking so hard about how he wanted to play things last turn. There was another Silumgar Scorn, had to use it on Duress there.
Wow. So he could have defended his Jace last turn, but chose not to.
Interesting. But we do now know that both players have a grip dominated by dragons at this point, really. I think both of them have both Ojutai and Dragonlord Silumgar in their hands.
Yeah, but Yuya's got more cards. And Yuya is the one who has a Dig Through Time in his hand. I think that a lot of the reason why Tom was trying to hold that Silumgar Scorn, the first guy that resolved Dig Through Time in this matchup is just has the ability to pull way ahead. And here you see Yuya doing exactly that. This is quite bad for Team USA. Big match, too. I mean, the winning team will be 3-1 and in great shape. Losing team at 2-2 is...
Yeah, it's not...
Actually got to start to sweat the advancement to day 2 at least a little bit.
And, of course, once it gets to day 2, seeding becomes super important. That seeding based entirely on your record from day 1 initially. So every extra win really does count in the World Magic Cup at every stage in the competition. There's never a point where you've won so much you can start thinking about drawing and so on. Every single win will impact how favorable your position looks in future rounds.
Yuya goes for Jace. Tom would like to kill it. Oh, there's that Clash of Wills.
The solo Clash of Wills doing exactly what it needed to there, keeping Jace alive, and that will mean that unless Tom Martell's able to find something right here, then Jace is going to be active for you, in addition to him having resolved Dig Through Time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just start slamming dragons and crossing your fingers and hoping it somehow works if you're Tom Martell.
It's certainly an option. I mean, one of the dragons that you have the option of slamming is Silumgar, who can steal that Jace.
Yeah. You don't want to flip the Jace because Yuya gets it back the way the transform ability works. But That said, it means Yuya doesn't have a flipped Jace. Just let it sit there.
Just 2 mana available for Yuya Watanabe. That slightly trims down the amount of options that he has in terms of answers here.
He is holding a Silumgar Scorn, though. Just has to decide if this is where he wants to use it, or if he would prefer to play the Dragonlord Silumgar that he has in his own hand.
Indeed. So, dueling Silumgars here. That second Dragonlord Silumgar stealing the first, killing it with the Legend Rule, and meaning that Jace comes back for you, Watanabe.
Super efficient. Does give Tom a window to kill Jace, though.
Yeah, because of the fact that Jace kept shifting control from turn to turn to turn, it didn't actually ever get past being summoning sick in spite of having been around for quite a few turns there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good turn for Tom, right? He killed Jace and got Ojutai into play.
Yeah, even though Ojutai, a little smaller than Silumgar, certainly a powerful threat, and Yuya seems to agree he's got a copy for himself there in play also. Utter end the draw there for Tom Martell.
Unclear.
Now, at this point for Martell, I guess that he has to be thinking about the sort of long-term face of this game in addition to the fact that he's facing down 2 dragons right now. This Esper deck typically the sort of deck that it wins by inches gradually over the course of the game, eking out advantage, and right now he just sort of, if he can keep the game going, at the moment he's a little behind on cards, he needs to buy himself time to get back up on them.
Yeah, he's down basically a card. 2 cards each in hand, but you use up a land and up a dragon.
And Utter End, quite a nice answer to the Dragonlord Silumgar, because it means that it's going to be exiled. It's not going to be able to get returned with that Haven of the Spirit Dragon.
Right. Yuya's sitting on Silumgar Scorn, though. He declines. And I think that's, if that last card for Tom Martell was Dig Through Time, for example, Yuya would really want to have his Silumgar Scorn for that.
I mean, even trading off dragons there is kind of favorable for Yuya because he's the one with a Haven of the Spirit Dragon in play.
True.
So at some point he can get it back. And another Jace for Yuya Watanabe.
Awaken on scatter is 6 or 7? 7? 6?
So it looks like a Faltong Invocation is the one lone non-dragon card in Tom Martell's hand. You see their Haven of the Spirit Dragon. An important card in these matchups just because it kind of gives a little bit more inevitability to the Esper control decks. Neither of these decks running Ugin, which for a while was one of the options that was quite popular within Esper control lists. These more straightforwardly focused on the dragons and getting to run Silumgar Scorn on top.
Silumgar Scorn does get back in Ojutai.
Yeah, the graveyard, very much a resource for these decks. I mean, at some point, we may see a flipped Jace, and when that happens, you start to see all sorts of fireworks from the Esper Dragons deck. With Dig Through Time already in the graveyard, I'm sure that Yuya Watanabe will be quite happy to be able to turn Jace into Jace Telepath Unbound. The important ability, a lot of the time, is the ability to cast spells from your graveyard with that -3 there. Obviously, each of those cards that you play from your graveyard can only be played once. You wouldn't want to be able to do that every single turn with the same spell, but when it happens, it can be a real problem for opponents.
There, though, Yuya chose not to activate Jace. He could have activated Jace and turned it into Telepath Unbound. He chose not to, I think, because he's playing around Faltong Invocation, and he sees his Ojutai as more important.
Interesting. I mean, this is the top-level line of play that you see from...
And now here's the duress. Show me what's up. Jace just didn't activate. There was an entire turn cycle there with a non-summoning sick Jace, and Yuya just left it there. Never tapped it, never turned it into a Planeswalker, and now goes for the duress, and Tom Martell realizes, okay, you've got Jace, you've got Ojutai, you're duressing the relevant card out of my hand. Tom picks him up. He wants to make sure he has time to win Game 2 and Game 3.
Fantastic play there from Yuya Watanabe. That means that's the second game win for Team Japan.
Indeed.
Great shape that they're in. We may get a chance to see a little bit of our third match now. Kenji Samura for Japan is up against Joel Zadowski, who's playing Ataka Red.
So who won the first game here?
We'll just try and find that one out for you, and we'll obviously get live totals as well. But it looks
Kenji
like
won game 1.
a Japanese sweep. For
Wow. They took all 3 game 1s.
And after sideboard, the rally decks do get some fairly nice tools against red. Now, interestingly, the thing that they don't get is Arishin Cleric in this case, because that's in Yuya's Esper deck. Conveniently, though, Cleric of the Forward Order does a pretty reasonable job of filling that spot. 2 power rather than 1. Sometimes useful, though obviously you're trading off a point of toughness there. And in principle, the amount of life that you can gain if you're casting a big rally with them is pretty huge.
That's a good point. I mean, Rally is solid in the Atarka Red matchup.
So
You get a lot of creatures that can block early. You can recurse them. I mean, the Atarka Red deck basically has to go for a combo kill at some point. But sometimes you gain enough life that even that doesn't work.
And one interesting card that it looks like we have for Team America here is Chandra, Fire of Kaldesh, in play out of the sideboard for Joel Zadowski.
Interesting.
Not one that you would necessarily assume that you would always see in Ataka Red. But I guess that if you're concerned with your opponent just having blocker after blocker after blocker, being able to have a different source of damage, certainly a potent threat. Kenji Samura with a fairly straightforward deck in terms of the spells, but one has to think that actually getting this deck built was a big challenge just in terms of getting all of the mana correct. There's lots of different ways that these rally decks can go. 3 color obviously a little easier than 4 when you already realize that Jace is going somewhere else.
Yeah, I like Rally in this unified standard metagame too. Seems like it's pretty well positioned against a lot of the decks that you're likely to run into.
Abbott and Carol keep there, allowing for a team of Battle Rage, which in turn means that Chandra gets to activate and flip. And that one piece of the puzzle, if Joel Zadowski is looking to get through the damage he needs here against Samura. Every additional Cleric of the Forward Order that Samura is able to draw, though, worth progressively more and more life.
He's got all 4 on his sideboard.
Samura currently the only Hall of Fame member in Team Japan, but one has to think that that's only really a formality until the voting happens this year, because this is the year that Yuya Watanabe is finally eligible for voting for the Hall of Fame.
Indeed. I think we may have to a little bit of revisiting. How do you measure up all of his accomplishments? So many of his good deep runs have come at Worlds rather than the Pro Tours, so doesn't have the Pro Tour top 8 count that some people look for, but it's going to be on my ballot, that's for sure.
Good enough for me. And another Cleric of the Forward Order is in hand for Kenji Samura, along with Murderous Cut that's come in. I mean, I think one of the cool things about Abzan Rally as a choice for this field is that it's that much harder to find yourself up against the likes of Anafen's the Foremost. Your traditional Abzan decks don't really slot in very nicely. And Zilliport Cutthroat has come down for Kenji Samura here, meaning that even his attacks get a bit tricky to block, because everything that goes on for Kenji Samura now is going to cause all sorts of damage. And sooner or later, the Rally of the Ancestors in his hand could just mean lights out for Joel Sadowski.
Yeah, it's not even sure Kenji's unhappy to have these clerics die. Gained 4 life this time, and now the Chandra attack.
So I guess one of the big things that Joel Sadowski can be looking out for, even at this point in the game, is can he go for his big combo? Can he get Teemo Battle Rage, Become Immense going? Looking at his hand, he already has the Become Immense. He's got Titan's Strength as well as Ataka's Command to, in general, make his team pretty sizable. As it is, though, the trample given by Teemo Battle Rage, absolutely huge.
Precisely. Kenji's not going to take a hit from an unblocked creature if he can help it. Especially while he's got a rally in his hand to bring stuff back. We saw the one Battle Rage come off of the Abbot.
I mean, the interesting thing for Kenji here is that normally your Abzan rally decks, or your rally decks in general, are kind of looking to cast rally with X equals 3 to get back things like Nantuko Husk, Grim Haruspex, and so on.
Well,
at the moment, 2 would be good enough.
Yeah, we did say, though, that Kenji doesn't want to take a hit from an unblocked creature, but that Wild Slash means he's gonna. Can only block one of these creatures. Blocks the Zergo, not the Prowess creature.
And this way he knows he's going to get the trade, but he's going to take a lot of damage.
So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Kenji Samura's at 13.
Team America picks up a game.
It's just like the way the other Atarka Red matchup goes. It looked like the Atarka opponent had the matchup edge, and then all of a sudden, here's Become Immense flying down and dealing the lethal damage.
RESPECT finding out what it means to Sadowski. Kenji Samura is now 1-1 in that match, and we'll be able to jump across and see a little bit more magic from the match that we started with, that one being, of course, Mike Sigrist versus Soyo Yu. So a little bit more Atarka Red, but Teemo Megamorph on the American side of the table. It looks like Sigrist a little short on lands here, at least compared to Soyo Yu on the other side of things.
Jeez. That was a mull to 5, and Mike Sigrist did not get there. So Japan now has a match up on their side of the scoreboard.
Just catching the very end of that. That, of course, meaning that Mike Sigrist is now going to be able to go and help one of his teammates in subsequent games, as is Soyo Yu and indeed Ryoichi Tamada, who were sort of tag teaming in the middle there. But we're going to get a chance to see 2 players who probably don't need quite so much help, Tom Martell and Yuya Watanabe, in this, the game 2 of their Esper Dragon's Mirror. It looks like the early game has largely been about mana development. It's so common in these control matchups. And this potentially a fairly important one. Painful Truth there, drawing a full 3 cards for Tom Martell. And there are actually a few differences between the sideboards of these lists that are worth mentioning. Something that Japan is doing, which I've not necessarily seen from too many Esper lists, is the addition of Gideon. What does that do to the matchup?
I mean, it's certainly a powerful threat.
And between Gideon and Monastery Mentor, in principle, Yuya Watanabe's deck can put a lot of tokens into play if it really wants to.
Well, these sideboards aren't that far apart. Both sideboards start with 4 Arishan Cleric and 3 Monastery Mentors.
Of course, Yuya Watanabe is the only person who currently has a Monastery Mentor going on right now, but we will see how long that lasts.
Both sideboards also have exactly 1 Painful Truth and exactly 1 Tasigur.
Yeah, I think that there's a few sideboard cards that are interesting to me because they end up being split between decks. We can see that Infinite Obliteration is in the sideboard for Tom Martell, just the 1 copy, and that's one of those cards that I think is tempting to have every deck with black having a copy or so in the sideboard, just paying sort of credence to the fact that there could be some Eldrazi decks in the room. As it is, though, Japan's Esper Dragons list says, you know what, we're not too worried.
Well, I mean, just about everybody in the room, I'm sure, has read Frank Carson's article where he laid out the same basic analysis that you saw if you were here with us for the lunch break. Eldrazi Ramp is a deck that overlaps with almost nothing else. It can give you, if you're just trying to minimize the overlap of good cards, you wind up playing Eldrazi Ramp. But it's kind of a weak metagame call in a field that's going to include so much Atarka Red. So USA guarding against it with their sideboard plan, Japan not so much.
We see there an Ultimate Price dealing with that Monastery Mentor before it can create any Monk tokens. And it looks like Martell has plenty in the way of dealing with creatures when they get into play, and a dig through time so that as and when he's used enough resources, got some time, he will be able to restock that hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting to resolve that Painful Truths was certainly nice. It is interesting how these lineups don't have a great spot for Gideon. Does Team USA even have Gideons?
I do not believe so.
They're just not playing Gideon with their lineup of decks, right? And Japan's only playing the 2 that are in Yuya's sideboard.
Well, Japan's also playing 2 in the sideboard of Kenji Samura's
Oh,
deck.
they split them. Hilarious. 2 in the board, 2 in the board. I guess that's the one card you don't really get to play with these these setups.
So Watanabe also well stocked on removal. He's got some creatures for Tom Martell to remove, though. Both those Dragon Lords will not be in great shape against the Foul Tongue Invocations of Tom Martell's hand. They are, of course, even with Hexproof, going to be subject to sacrifice from Foul Tongue Invocation.
Yeah, the Disdainful Stroke seems like the crucial card in Yuya's hand here. He wants to stop Tom's Dig Through Time. But Tom has both a Negate and a Silumgar Scorn that he can use to defend it. So I kind of like Tom's spot here.
So here comes Monstrous Mentor for Tom Martell. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he chooses to defend this at all, because those Monk tokens, I mean, with prowess, they add up. I mean,
Wow.
you
So
play a
he's-
lot of Vintage, you know they're
Oh, yeah,
powerful
yeah,
in
yeah.
other formats, but even
He's
in
actu-
Standard.
He's actually going to respond with the Dig Through Time first. He may then defend the Mentor, but by playing the Mentor first, now he can pick the fight over Dig Through Time. You see Yuya just shaking his head. He has to fight over this Dig Through Time, but he's going to fight. Tom's going to fight back. More Monk tokens are going to come off. Martell has sequenced this really well. See Yuya also shaking his head at Tom's choice of pro player cards.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get Monk tokens soon enough, but for now, Yuya is smiling as he sees Yuya Watanabe cards to represent those monks.
So Disdainful Stroke runs into Negate, creating a Monk, and defending the Dig Through Time. So, yeah, Yuya's happy. Get those. Yeah, Monk tokens. That's much better. Tom resolving his Dig Through Time. Down to 1 mana, but he's got a Monastery Mentor, 2 Monk tokens, and he's up the cards from that Dig Through Time.
And 5 cards? 4 cards? 4 cards. So 1 unknown. The Dragon
Consulting with Mike Sigris to see which 2 of those 7 they want to keep. I mean,
It's a nice position to be in where you can get the reigning player of the year to give you advice while you resolve your amazing spell against a future Hall of Famer.
yeah, we saw last game it was Yuya that resolved the first Dig Through Time and won the game. Okay, Ultimate Price did eventually resolve from the bottom of that stack, so the Mentor is down. Now, Tom's only got 1 mana untapped. What can Yuya do before Tom untaps again?
And we know that his hand is replete with removal, but you don't necessarily want to be using 1-for-1 removal on those monks
No.
if you can help it.
I think it's time to play a dragon. Does he want to play Ojutai or Silumgar?
I mean, if he plays Silumgar, then he can actually use one of those monks as Foul Tongue Invocation insurance.
Yep, he has in fact elected for Silumgar.
Mike Sigrist there with the best seat in the house to this match. An embarrassment of riches here in Tom Martell's hand. Plenty to work with, and he's got a Dragon Lord Ojutai at the front of his hand. It looks like that one's going to be the play here. So I guess the tough spot for Martell here, we know that he's got a lot of copies of Foul Tongue Invocation. The more creatures that Yuya Watanabe gets down, the shakier those removal spells look.
Well, here's Yuya asking permission for an Ojutai. I think Tom's going to say no.
Yeah, there is Silumgar Scorn. Doesn't need to reveal anything from his hand because, of course, he does have a dragon in play.
Tom actually had a Duress that he didn't have the mana for last turn. Ooh, and Dig Through Time off the top. Duress to clear a path for Dig Through Time. This game looks very much like it's headed Tom Martell's way.
Yeah, unlike some of the other matches we've been calling, this is not a match where Yuya can suddenly find a combo win from his hand. So
Right.
this is going to be a rough one for Yuya Watanabe.
Yeah, Duress sees a couple of creature removal spells, takes one of the 2 ultimate prices. Now, yeah, with this dig through time, Yuya may pack him up relatively quickly here. I mean, the issue is just having enough time to win game 3. They've been playing at a pretty brisk pace. I mean, I don't think they're in a lot of trouble on the clock right now.
Maybe Yuya's just hoping that Kenji wins his match and he can just sort of smile and walk away from this table. So not very much in Tom Martell's graveyard, but I don't think he's going to be too sad about that. All these dig through times, they'll do it. Infinite Obliteration came in for Tom Martell, currently resigning his hand, perhaps.
Interesting.
Now, what do you name here? This is very interesting.
Ojutai, right?
I mean, I guess it's the toughest to deal with threat within the Esper Dragons list. It also means that Silumgar's Scorn becomes incrementally a little worse.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you also get to see the exact sideboard plan of your
Right.
opponent.
Right, yeah, I mean, if Yuya was inclined to concede, that would have been a spot. I mean, I guess he's not far enough behind yet to want to scoop them up, right? Maybe that dig through time was kind of a whiff.
No wraths.
And this is a great time to have someone by your side as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because basically, if he wanted to, he could say, I'm going to flick through this. I don't want to spend the mental energy figuring out what sideboard plan, but you know what, Mike Sigrist, you do that for me. As it is, though, they resolved it in a pretty brisk fashion. And you see there Yuya Watanabe holding up to the 2 cards that were revealed to Duress, basically as a courtesy to Tom Martell, so he doesn't need to write them down. They are still in his hand. Casts a Monastery Mentor, though.
It's a pretty good draw off the top. Martell's hand is now 3 of a kind, just all Foul Tongue invocations.
Draws a Jace, though. I don't think he minds not getting the perfect quads.
Yuya's board is actually a little bit resilient to the Foul Tongue invocations.
Well, yeah, I mean, that one of the strengths of Monastery Mentor. I mean, at the moment he has 3 creatures in play, but with every spell, and there would be a temptation to play Ultimate Price on a monk,
Right.
to make a monk to sacrifice to a Foul Tongue invocation.
Exactly.
What we know, of course, is that there's a better target looming from Tom Martell.
I mean, it feels like Martell should be way far ahead, but he's basically only ahead by those Foul Tongue invocations.
Yeah, if you're up lots of cards, but those cards literally aren't particularly exciting, then how many cards are you really up? Haven of the Spirit Dragon says, well, I'm kind of up 1 more card now.
Yeah, Tom attacked, traded dragons because he knows he can get his back. And he's not in love with letting Yuya untap while on Monastery Mentor, but he does know that Yuya's only got 1 card in his hand.
Which we can all see face up is that Ultimate Price.
Yes.
And of course, trading the dragons means Tom gets that monk token back, which is actually a pretty big deal.
So then, yeah, hold on. Do we back up to when that happens? In combat. Oh, you're conceding. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so it looks like we are going on to game 3 now.
Yuya drew his card, and yeah, he's facing down an Ojutai. He knows Tom's got a grip full of cards. Yuya immediately shuffles all 15 sideboard cards into his deck, having just been obliterated.
Oh yeah, you got to keep up the mystery. Keep the mystery alive. But we're going to get a chance to see a little bit more of Kenji Samura against Joel Sadowski. That match has been being held, so we're going to get a chance to catch that one from its starting point. Love getting a chance to watch Kenji play.
Oh, yeah. So this is game 3?
Yes, it is, yeah. You see there the stats for Yu
Yeah,
Watanabe.
one apiece.
One of the most impressive players on the Pro Tour now. And when you look at Japan in total, it's just phenomenal.
10 Pro Tour top 8s?
Including, of course, Ryuichi Tamada, who is who got his first top 8 just this last Pro Tour, made the finals. But Monstrous Swiftspear, the first play of this game, and that coming from Joel Sadowski, first blood to America.
Yeah, Team USA has to win this game just to send it back over to Martel versus Watanabe.
And Dragon Fodder, a nice follow-up, gets the prowess, gets the goblins in play. Meanwhile, Samura's draw, a little bit of a slow one. I mean, his is not a deck replete with 1-drops, but having the tap land plus Evolving Wilds, meaning he didn't have a 2-drop either, not exactly what he wanted given what's coming from America here. We should probably talk a little bit about the way that Kenji Samura's deck works, because it's, as much as it is playing a lot of creatures and being a regular creature deck, much of the time, that's not typically the way that wins, at least when it wins big. This very much a plan of play creatures early, keep the board sort of stalled, gradually accumulate cards in the graveyard, and at some point, between Collected Company filling the board and Rally the Ancestors getting creatures back, you can have a big, big finish with Nantuko Husk. First creature here from Kenji Samura being Catacomb Sifter, and with a 2/3 body plus a friend, it's actually a pretty good way of stabilizing this board for him.
Definitely.
The scry ability when another creature dies on Catacomb Sifter, pretty relevant when you're looking to assemble a kind of a combo. Generally speaking, if you want a combo, it's probably going to involve Nantuko Husk somewhere, letting you sacrifice your creatures much more easily, attack for a gigantic amount of damage.
Yeah, it's funny how 4-color Rally has been the deck we've seen most often in Standard for the last couple of months. The Abzan Rally deck obviously loses some quality by not having Jace Vryn's Prodigy, but I mean, the cards that you get instead seem perfectly reasonable. I mean, with Carrier Thralls, Catacomb Sifters, these are solid value cards in any kind of Nantuko Husk Rally the Ancestors deck.
Yeah, and like one of the big additions is Fleshbag Marauder / Merciless Executioner. If you're expecting a bunch of Eldrazi ramp decks and Esper Dragons, it can be pretty solid. So Sadowski here swings in, Kenji Samura quick to block. And Arc Lightning, an interesting sideboard option that's been brought in here by Joel Sadowski.
He is holding an Atarka's Command. What's his plan here?
I mean, his Atarka's Command would be damage plus keeping one of his goblins alive.
Right. He could also Wild Slash the Catacomb Sifter to finish it off, plus get a Prowess trigger. Yeah, so here's Wild Slash, Prowess trigger, and Atarka's Command. So he gets in a decent chunk of damage. He'll keep 1 Goblin token, and Kenji will be out of creatures when he untaps.
Consistent damage is what Atarka Red's looking to deal. It doesn't mind too much sacrificing a few resources to do so, and the big finish, as we saw in the last game, is potentially become immense. We didn't even need the Teemo Battle Rage last game.
Kenji gets a Scry.
You see the whole of Team Japan here able to help out with decisions. Not that the Hall of Famer should need too much help. This is a deck that he built himself. I'm sure that he's been testing thoroughly. I spoke to Team Japan about how their testing's been going. They've been meeting up for the last month or so, a couple of days a week to play. They're all sort of geographically close enough that that's not too problematic for them. I guess one of the challenges for a team like Team America is America's a big country. If you don't happen to live particularly close, then you may be
Oh, but
Relegate something
Comament
else.
is the reveal from the Abbot of Carol Keep.
There is another land,
Yeah.
so it's possible to cast
It's
it here.
live. And it's funny, Kenji left up Collected Company, but now he also has a Murderous Cut in his hand. So do you go Collected Company here and assume you're going to get 2 blockers? I think that is the plan.
If ever there's a deck that's going to hit 2 creatures, it is this one. I mean, unlike Mike
Saw
Sigrist's
a bunch
deck.
of lands in there. The last one was a Visionary. Was there a creature in the first part? No, it's just the Elvish Visionary.
Sorry, Kenji, I may have jinxed you on that one.
Crazy. So this Become Immense is a ton of damage. It's +7 to the Swift Spear. So do you chump the Swift Spear or do you try to trade with the Goblin token? If you try to trade with the Goblin token, you're taking at least 8. Probably exactly 8. But now you're dead to any random Atarka's command on a future turn.
Or, you know, an Arc Lightning.
Well, how about an Arc Lightning? If you let the Goblin come through, though, you still taking 7 down to 3, where an Arc Lightning or an Atarka's command is lethal.
Maybe that Joel Sadowski has found a way through here.
Wow. Collected Company only came up with Elvish Visionary. Kenji's holding he's holding Life Gain in his hand, too. He has one of his
Cleric of the Forward Order?
Clerics of the Forward Order. So, yeah, he's willing to go down to 2 here. He can Cleric his way back up to 4. Yeah, he could have gone Cleric Murderous Cut, but he chose Collected Company as his turn 4 play instead. And then whiffed, basically. Here's Cleric of the Forward Order. Doubling his life total. Oh, cracks a fetch land. Back down to Arc Lightning range. What else is he holding?
He's got an Antuco Husk.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to play a blocker, so I think this is tap out for Nantuko Husk and then die to Arc Lightning, right?
Oh, wow.
Oh, he drew his second Cleric! That's huge.
An extra 4 life off that second Cleric. 6 life gained in the turn. And what a
Crazy.
turnaround.
And he has an untapped land for Murderous Cut. Wild Slash, okay.
So many prowess triggers going on.
Arc Lightning. 2 prowess triggers, is that enough? It is, right? Murderous Cut saves him? Murderous Cut does save him, right?
I believe so, yeah. Taking 3 off this Monastery Swift Spear. Very, very close situation for Kenji Samura. Even now, even as Joel Sadowski burns through, now running just off the top of his deck,
Yeah,
and
he's
with
out of
just
cards.
Monastery Swift Spear. Rally the Ancestors from here, just for the life,
Kenji
would
has
be kind of a big deal.
Kenji has Nantuko Husk Collected Company.
I mean, one thing that he has to consider, the way that Rally the Ancestors works, if he doesn't have a way of sacrificing those creatures, at the end of the turn, they completely go away. They go to exile, so he does not really want to have to do a value rally just for the life if he can help it, because then he's not going to be able to use those creatures in a bigger rally to win the game with. But on 3 life, when you've already seen 1 Arc Lightning from your opponent, there's certainly a temptation to just...
Yeah, he's
Make
cracking
things happen.
Evolving Wild's main phase, presumably to thin 1 more land out of his deck before this crucial Collected Company.
Yeah, so many live draws for Joel Sadowski with Kenji Samura on just 3 life that now not the time to shilly-shally around. All right, 6 cards. All we're looking for is 2 creatures. It doesn't sound like a big ask, but we've seen a lot of misses already this
Oh,
round.
you've got to be kidding. 0 for 6. 2 Collected Companies have resulted in a grand total of 1 Elvish Visionary. Is that Atarka's Command? It is Atarka's Command off the top. Joel Sadowski, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, If you had to pick a player to put a little bit of pressure on for Team Japan, their captain, Yuya Watanabe, would be the one that you would pick. It's going to be Martel and Yuya Watanabe playing their deciding game in order to figure out which of these powerhouse teams takes this match.
Okay. Can we go? Or are we waiting for...
So
Crazy.
Jace on turn 2, the first player of the game from Yuya Watanabe, and Tom Martel here. He's going to have to deal with that Jace fast, because we know that once Jace gets active, even just in terms of the looting, even let alone once it flips into Jace Telepath Unbound, just the extra cards are potentially all manner of problems for this control matchup. Once you're up on cards, you're in great shape.
We're both at 19.
Now, these guys were held a little bit to catch up with us, if I'm not mistaken. We'll try to get a read on how much time they actually have for this game 3.
Yeah, I mean, the regular clock on the round puts it at about... we're actually a little bit over on
Yeah,
time.
time was just recently called on the main floor. But so these guys have 9 minutes.
How does a 9-minute Esper Mirror go?
Well, it results in a draw a lot of the time. But these guys both play pretty quick.
Certainly when
and
they
are
need
capable
to.
of playing even quicker when they need to, like you say.
I think they're just waiting on the formal start after the pause.
Right.
And given the amount of time left on the match and how important this last game is, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that formal start ends up being like a gunshot in a foot race.
Good.
All right, here we go. So Martel very quickly ultimate prices.
It's funny. So this match, Team USA versus Japan, has basically been both Atarka red decks have won. Each team has a win with their Atarka red deck, and it all comes down to the Esper Dragon's Mirror.
We did appreciate the creativity coming from the other decks, though.
I thought both of the Atarka red opponents were favored in that matchup too, but I mean, sometimes the red deck just wins. It's been
That's how it
true for
gets its
many
name.
years, exactly.
Jace number 2 here from Yuya Watanabe. Will he
This
be
one
able
sticks.
to keep it around?
It has lost summoning sickness. Not quite gonna flip yet. Yeah, you could have cracked a fetch land if he wanted to, but I think he prefers to get a second loot out of this chase before it flips. Figures if Tom could kill it, he already would have.
Has a duress here. Will it catch that negate main cast from Tom Martel, or will there be another option?
Yeah, I don't think you want to give you your knowledge of your hand. Let's choose the card for him.
The whole of Team America now sat back watching.
Not a lot of time for a lot of discussion, though. I think you mostly just let Tom go.
Yeah, it's something I've spoken to a few teams about. There's different schools of thought on how involved coaches should be. I know that on Slovakia, Ivan Floch, during the limited rounds, was playing Puppet Master on all 3 matches effectively.
Oh, was he the coach? He
Yeah.
sat himself out and played all 3 matches?
Yeah, and now that we're
Crazy.
in Constructed, he gets to actually tap the lands himself.
Crazy. Chase is going to flip.
So if we were dealing with a match with infinite minutes, you know, one of their test matches, for example, then one would have to say that Yuya Watanabe is doing everything that he needs to do to be comfortably ahead.
Yep.
As it is, while he's still doing everything he needs to do, that might not be good enough.
He's only got 2 duresses in his list, but he's drawn both of them here.
And they both
Oh,
been
the
met
other
by
2 were in the
counter magic.
sideboard. I'm sorry. 2 in his main deck. It's 4 after sideboarding.
No dragon there, meaning that Yuya does pay the extra
Oh,
1,
wow.
but it's a swing and a miss. Sees Monastery Mentor and 3 lands here.
I mean, no reason for Tom not to do that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Yuya will get confused and not realize he can pay 1 to counter it, but even if he does, obviously, the Silumgar Scorn was going to get chosen with the duress anyway. Jeez, Tom Martel has 8 lands, or sorry, 7 lands and a Monastery Mentor.
You write down, but
I mean, Monastery Mentor's pretty good.
write it down now, but I'll pick up once you're done.
Monastery Mentor, if you're looking for a way of winning an Esper mirror quickly, is one of the better options.
It's definitely part of the reason you see the Mentors almost, they become ubiquitous in the sideboards of Esper Dragons decks, Esper control decks in general. You got to be able to win quickly in post-sideboarded games. Your opponent's probably going to take most of the creature removal out of their deck anyway. Interesting. Tom just chips away at Jace with the Shambling Vent.
And just the merest consultation with the team before going for another duress here.
Still whiffs, but he knew he wanted to play Ojtai. Wanted to make sure the coast was clear.
And each of these players playing at a rapid pace at this point. And there it is, Dragon Lord Ojtai. If it can start attacking, I mean, which reasonably it should be able to, it ends the game super quickly, and of course, drawing those extra cards with the Anticipate each turn that it deals combat damage, it tends to be enough. Now, if you're Martel here,
You have to just play your Mentor.
yeah, even if it's a naked Mentor without any possibility of prowess, but for Yuya, it's a relatively straightforward decision too, to just get stuck in here. I mean, he knows that the only spell that Tom Martel can have drawn would have been his draw that exact turn. Gets to hit in for 5, effectively gets to cast Anticipate, sees a Monastery Mentor. That one very quickly gets placed to one side. Other two on the bottom there.
I was at 15, I fetched for one, and I was 20.
I mean, Tom's draw a little flooded. His draw's not been great, but it feels like even if his draw had been good, he's still going to lose to those extra duresses. He was whiffed with 1.5 duresses.
15, sorry. Yeah.
So uptick on Jace, and there's Monastery Mentor.
I think he's got a foul time invocation that he's not using. Is that true?
That is correct, yeah.
Don't you just try to kill the Mentor?
I mean, trying to kill the Mentor is functionally a bit like casting a duress. You find out very, very quickly if your opponent's got a spell.
Lets him draw.
As it is, Tom Martel, great at drawing lands, which is often a great skill to have in control matchups. Right now, not necessarily what you're looking for.
Oh, interesting. By waiting, Yuya does have the ability to make his own Mentor a 3/3 blocker with its prowess trigger. I think he's waiting to try to surprise Tom mid-combat. Because Tom has to want to try to finish Jace off here, right? It's super tempting to have Shambling Vet take a poke at Jace. Tom's so far behind that he kind of has to hope Yuya's on blanks. And then Yuya gets to blow him out. Yeah, activate Shambling Vent. Attack your Jace. Sorry.
Now Yuya's happy to use a Yu Watanabe card as a monk. Yeah, also the casual 4-life off that Foul Tongue Invocation. As if this race was not lopsided enough. Big swings here for Team Japan.
Yeah, this is... Yuya just keeps pulling farther and farther ahead.
Sees Gideon on top.
And Painful Truths. Yeah, both of these teams are full of talent. Both of these teams seem to have pretty good decks based on certainly what we've been hearing about the way we think this unified standard is going to play out.
But there's the handshake. Team Japan takes it. And USA on 2-2. They're going to have a little bit of work to do now.
Yeah, they've got some work to do. It feels to me, though, like both of these teams are still going to have a lot to say about the way this tournament plays out tomorrow and potentially even on Sunday.
Absolutely. If you're looking for teams that you do not want to count out, both of these that we've seen in the feature match area absolutely qualify. But, I mean, for me, the story of this round has just been almost what happened before the tournament, how these teams have prepared, and the fact that they've come to very similar conclusions.
Those two did, for sure, and they did not. It's not like they worked together.
Not at all, no. Lots of preparation on both sides. I know that Japan worked very hard. I know that America worked very hard in their super team, and let's hope the hard work pays off for both of them in the future rounds. We're going to take a very short break, head you back to the news desk, but we'll be back soon enough for round 5 here at the World Magic Cup.
Thanks very much to Tim and thanks very much to Randy. You know, we get a lot of compliments on how smart we all look here at the Pro Tour and at the World Magic Cup. But I've got to tell you that first thing in the morning, Tim, BDM, Rashad, Ian, it's not a great look. It really isn't. If you are wondering what these are doing here at the news desk, a terrific human interest story, as we like to say, here at the World Magic Cup. These were brought here by Team Panama. So the story goes like this. Ivan Oro, he comes from a tiny town called Chitre, and he was explaining that when they knew that they were going to represent Panama, they wanted to bring something with them that had a real kind of cultural resonance and a real national pride sense for them, that was also something that they could share with the rest of the Magic world. And they came up with these. These are carnival masks, and they are a traditional thing, and they are built, designed and brought together every carnival to scare young children, or indeed, in this case, Magic opponents. So they brought them here, and they're made out of papier-mâché, so they're super delicate. That means they can't come in suitcases in the hold of an aircraft. No, these 4 came in hand luggage from Panama all the way to Barcelona. So you can just imagine the scene at all the airports. Shoes, laptop, medicine, and what exactly is this, sir? Just fantastic, real dedication, wonderful additions, and they have literally brightened our day here at the World Magic Cup. So thanks very much to Team Panama. You know, they won't be winning the World Magic Cup. Right now, they don't have a match win. Maybe we should get the masks on them for round 5. But best of luck to them. Let's hope they win at least a round as they hold the flag high for Team Panama. A tiny Magic community. Thanks so much to them for, as I say, brightening our day. So that's the story of the masks. Meanwhile, out on the floor, Brian David Marshall was trying to unveil what's been going on in the world of Team Italy. A terrific interview coming up for you right now.
I'm here with Team Italia. Marco Camerluzzi, you're the captain of the team and champion. Introduce the rest of your squad here to everybody.
Yeah, on my left, there is the last Italian international champion, Mangu, that today is 1-3. So we are working, we have to work on that, you know. And on my right side, William Pizzi, we will see. And Francesco Bifero, the new Italian star, for sure.
Racing star.
Racing star. Racing star. Yeah.
So you guys obviously have a ton of Pro Tour experience, but I'm interested in talking to you two guys because you had a really unique experience, not only to play with 2 Pro Tour top 8 competitors as your teammates, but to be in this house with so many international Magic stars, Italy, Brazil, Canada, the United States. What was that like for you guys? I'll start with you.
Yeah, it is for sure a very, 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 very unique experience because it's not something that happens every day, you know, to play and with such champions, you know. And it's my first Pro Point experience, and so I'm just very proud to be here with all these champions, all these Italian champions. And I hope that we can do well in this tournament. Let's hope so.
Now, I know you were watching a lot of players and learning from them. What was that experience like in the playtesting house?
Yeah, it's very, very amazing experience, not undescribable, with Team Canada, Team American, and Brazil too. I played the Pro Tour San Diego 2 years ago, and I will play the Pro Tour Atlanta on February.
You were already qualified, right?
Yeah. I am ready to qualify. I am ready to qualify for the next Pro Tour. And this experience, this very, 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 very amazing. Is we see a very good player for testing and prepare for a great tournament like a WMC. And yeah, it's very good preparation for us. It's very, very lucky experience.
Yeah, very lucky to be here. We are lucky.
Yeah.
All right, Marco, for you, what is it like to be, you know, sort of the captain? What's that like to have to sort of like herd cats?
Yeah, You know, as I told you first, for us it's something like a big family. You know, I look like the older brother, you know, and not just because I'm tall.
He's the father.
Yeah, maybe I'm the father. Is the you know, because all the time I'm really quiet. He's really stressed, you know, and these two are the kids. So, but together we can make a good result. Yeah, because we are also friends, not just players. So we can work on that.
Ajay, last year you were the Italian captain. What's it like being able to take maybe a little bit of a backseat and letting someone else handle all the captaining duties?
Of course, he deserved it this year, and I'm very very happy that he is the captain because I love Marco. He's a great player. The world doesn't know him yet, but I'm sure it will know him shortly because he's a great player and great friend, and we had so much fun. I think to be a good team, you have to be like all night we just laugh and jokes until late night. Well, maybe you know the other teams were like, okay, we have to rest, we have to be prepared.
You know.
What would it mean to Italy to have the World Magic Cup trophy come to Italy?
Yeah, say to word that Italy is real, you know. No, you know, I said go and go. Okay.
You're being sabotaged.
Yeah, I've been sabotaged from China, Hong Kong maybe. Yeah, so no, it could be great, you know, for because will be the first time for us take this kind of trophy.
Also, Italy has never debuted the WMC yet, so maybe we are there.
I didn't was in the team, so now we are feeling good.
He's the bigger boss, the bomber boss.
Okay, there you have it. Team Italy here at the World Magic Cup. Good luck, guys. Good games the rest of the way.
Well, that was Brian David Marshall there with Huang Haoshan, with a little bit of help from Team Italy there. Fantastic stuff. Some results to bring you. Brazil are 4-0. They beat Denmark in the last round. Any other round, that would have been a feature match. But of course, USA-Japan, you've seen USA fall to 2-2, Japan go to 3-1. How about this? Belarus are 4-0. And so are Macedonia. They've won their first rounds in standard. Terrific job by them. You know, the Belarus team, they have a combined record at the Pro Tour of 1 event between the 4 of them, 1 match win and 7 match losses in the 1 day of Pro Tour experience they have lifetime. And they are leading the World Magic Cup, and they are into day 2. What a fantastic story. Great job by them. Hopefully we'll get to see them under the lights very soon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you off to the playback of some of those interviews from yesterday when we had the team captains from around the world come in to tell us about their plans. And we're going to start off with Team USA, who are right now at 2-2. So let's get into those. We'll see you in just a minute.
I am here with team captain for the United States, Mike Sigrist. Mike, welcome.
Hello.
Okay, so what I want you to do is break down your team first, and I want you to rank them in order of how much you like them.
Joel Sadowski, Neil Oliver, and Tom Martell are my teammates for this event.
Very, very political.
Yeah.
And so those are your teammates. As you saw the team start to form, what was happening with your excitement level?
I was pretty excited. Joel beat a bunch of friends of mine that were in the top 8 of his event, and all great players. So I was, pretty sure he was going to be good. And Neil, I work with for the PTs, and Tom as well. So I was very happy when we got the final team.
I saw there was a lot of rankings of the team, sort of unofficially, on social media and stuff. And I got to say, United States wasn't #1 for very many. Yeah. So where do you kind of see you guys as you fit into the rest of the teams at the top?
I think we're right in there. I mean, you can't dispute that Japan is a great team, and Canada is an amazing team, and so I think we fit there with that group, and I'm pretty confident. So I think I think we're right in the mix of it with the top 3 teams.
Now, one thing that comes up with the World Magic Cup that isn't always an issue is size of country, and I mean physical size, right? Some countries are very small, you can drive over and get some testing in with your teammates, but the United States is huge and it's not so easy. Have you guys been able to get together and actually get some side-by-side testing going?
Yeah, most of us arrived about a week ago. We tested with 3 other countries, Canada, Brazil, and Italy. So we've been here for about a week, and we've been in contact for the last 2 months or so, just spitballing ideas off of each other and whatnot. So yeah, we've been able to communicate pretty well.
Feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I think this specific standard format is a little more complicated because of the fetch lands and stuff. So it leads to, some inconsistencies and at least one of the decks that you're going to end up playing. So that's the most worrisome part of the tournament for me.
Yeah, well, something's got to give, right, in Team Unified. All right, thanks so much for your time. Good luck in the tournament.
Thanks, Marshall.
All right, I'm here with the young captain of the Team Czech Republic. Andre, you've been playing Magic almost half your life, we just discovered.
Yeah, that's true. I've been playing for like 9 years, and I'm 20 now, so it's almost half my life. It's cool.
Now, during that time, you've seen a lot of teams from the Czech Republic playing in World Team Competition, playing in the World Magic Cup. How do you like your team this year going into the competition, the team you're bringing with you?
I think it's the best team Czech Republic ever had, because we have like 2 experienced good players in me and Lucas Blahan, who is one of the top players in Czech Republic. But that's not all. The other 2 guys are also one of the best players in Czech Republic. Tomáš Kuchta was on the team last year, so he has experience with this tournament. And Dominik Mikuláš is very young. He's like 18 years old, but I think he's the most talented player in Czech Republic, and maybe even the most talented player I've ever seen. He doesn't play that much, but he's like really, really good. So I'm super excited about it.
Wow, that's someone to keep an eye on. And it's got to be great for you having Lucas on the team. Although you're the captain, Lucas has been playing for so long and it's at such a high level that you can maybe defer to him a little, even though you're the captain.
Yeah, he kind of even took the role that he like calls the shots, and I think he's gonna call the shots and limited in the team and in the build section. He's gonna like be the biggest voice on that. So I think that's like good for me because I don't have to take care of that much stuff. So that's great.
You've had a pretty good year playing Magic. What's your goal for this event and going forward?
The goal is obviously top 8, so we can qualify the other 2 guys for the Pro Tour. That would be sweet, and anything else would be a disappointment for me. So I hope we get there.
Okay, Andre, good games this weekend.
Yep, thanks.
Indeed, good games this weekend for the Czech Republic. Currently 2-2, Stratsky and the team. I've been joined by Brian David Marshall. We are getting ready to watch round 5. You're going to see it's all the bees because it is 4-0 Belarus against 4-0 Brazil. Here comes round 5 of the World Magic Cup 2015.